I have the pleasure today to invite you on the second part of our journey concerning the manufacturing of the La Montre Hermès Carré H. We already showed you the way how the movements are manufactured, and today we are showing you the place where they manufacture the cases and the dials with state-of-the-art machinery. Join me and enjoy what we are going to show you today. Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell to get our latest notifications. This is where everything starts, in theory, because if you have no tooling, you ain't gonna manufacture nothing. So everything you need to, in the end, produce dials and cases is manufactured here. We have specialists that can react quickly, that can react on needs, on personal needs of any department. If anyone comes and says, we need a special tool to operate, they're able to manufacture it in here. This is something a real manufacturer needs. This is a solid piece of steel. So out from the tooling department, there is a tool being put in this machine, and with 200 tons, it will cut out the first shape of the case of the watch we are going to present you now all day long. The Carré H case gets its form through stamping out with the machine with 200 tons. That's a process that is being repeated several times. And in between, you need to pass the case through an oven to harden the steel again, so you can go into the next phase of processing and shape the case. At a certain point, no more stamping is possible. You need a CNC machine to really shape the case. The machine will either mill out parts or drill some holes. Those holes are necessary later to assemble the case. The machine is totally programmed by a computer, will exactly know what to do in the sense of exactly know what tooling it needs, and do some initial measurements to be sure that the tooling and drilling is completely done in the tolerances that the manufacturer wants, and we're talking about tolerances up to 1/1000th of a millimeter or even less. Once the Carré H case has got its shape, it has to be polished, and the first polishing process is done by a machine. Once the machine is done, now the human being comes back again, and it's necessary because you can't do that by any machine. No machine can be programmed to do the process you see in the pictures. Looks simple, but it's a very difficult process. It's a very ongoing learning process. People are trained for 3 years, and as I have been told, unless they are not working for 10 years doing this, they're not perfect. Once every surface looks as it has to look, then the next process will be that the case gets sandblasted to get that wonderful magic matte look. When you once have a Carré H in your hands, you will see that not the entire surface has been sandblasted. Of course, it was probably sandblasted in the beginning, but then afterwards repolished, because some parts are even, when you look at the watch, shining, meaning you have a polished surface. So to protect the sandblasted surface, a special spray is applied, and then the piece goes back and is being polished on the spots, on the dedicated spots that the designer wanted them to shine, in contrary to the sandblasted matte surface. If you want to polish a steel case, what you need is a polishing brush, a rotating polishing brush. There are different pastes you can use, and depending on which one you will apply on the surface of the polishing brush, you will get a certain effect when you polish the case. And when everything is done and the piece looks as it should look like, that it goes into a cleaning bath and that protecting red spray is being taken off. Now, of course, the case needs to be assembled, starting with the tube where later on the crown will be inserted into the movement to adjust either the hours, minutes, or to wind the watch. So the tube is glued in with a little bit of glue, then it is being pressed in. On the inside you have a movement holding ring, a big ring you see that's inserted in the case where the movement later is attached. Then you have a gasket. Then the glass is pressed on the case. Of course, the sapphire glasses used for the Carré H case have an anti-reflective treatment. The one on the front side is treated on both sides, and the one used on the back side on the case bottom has only an anti-reflective treatment on one side, on the inner side. And how would you know when you have the glass in your hand it's only a disc which side has the anti-reflective treatment? Yes, by the little red dot you see on the picture, that's a dot that is being applied by the manufacturer. So when the glasses are pulled together with the case, the operator will know which is the correct side. These 4 provisional screws are used to screw in the case bottom of the Carré H. Then you see the crown is inserted, and once the case is entirely mounted or assembled, then the case for the first time has to show if it is waterproof. And of course, that little red dot later on is being taken off just with a little bit of alcohol, so it will not be part of the watch when you buy it. The best conditions to test if a case is waterproof is, of course, in water. The chamber is closed, and then a pressure of about 3 bars equal to about 30 meters is applied. 10 minutes, then the case is taken out, heated on a little oven, and when the case is really hot, you apply a little drop of cold water on it, and in case there would be humidity in there or moisture, then that moisture will of course concentrate on the spot where you applied the cold water from outside. As we see, it's clear, there's no moisture, so it's good to go. In the very beginning, to manufacture a dial, it is stamped out of a solid piece of brass. Then the dial is polished in various processes, starting with sand, blast paper, and later on with rotating brushes, cotton brushes. And again, this is a little bit of a science. You need to know which type of cotton, which type of polishing paste, and which pressure you will apply to make the dial look the way you want it to look like. To change the surface color of the brass dial, you use a galvanic or electroplating process. The dial is inserted into nickel. A certain current is applied for a certain time, and you will see when it comes out, it is shining. After a cleaning process, the dials now go into its next bath. It's a bath of black gold, as they call it, and I learned that this liquid where now the dial is inserted into in a galvanic process also contains some real gold, so there are about 4 grams of real gold per liter in that bath. Again, current is applied a certain time, and then when the dial comes out, you will now see the dial is completely matte black. After the electroplating or galvanic treatment of the surface, the dial now needs to be cleaned, and this is done now with a lot of care because all liquids and all chemistry that has been applied during the process needs to be washed off. As the case, as the movement, also the dial needs to be assembled. This is a process that goes through various steps. You have seen, or we see, that the dial consists of 2 parts, the inner part and the outside or the outer part. In the initial manufacturing process of the dial, a CNC machine has been drilling in holes, and these holes that have been drilled in before are now used that you can apply the Arabic numerals. The numerals have 4 or 5 little feet, and with the help of those feet, the operator is pulling them through the dial in those little holes that have been drilled by the CNC machine. And once the numeral has taken its place and is completely fixed on the dial, the operator will turn around the dial, and then he has to bend those little feet to assure that never ever
one of these numerals can either fall out or move again, and that's the way how you put on those numerals. A very delicate process done by hand, and this is also part of the let's say speciality of that dial, that it's not a complete machine produced dial. It's a dial that where a lot of handcraft or a lot of human work is applied. You also want to apply the nice Hermès logo on the dial, and this is done by pad printing, as we see here in the video. This is the wonderful dial of the Carré H from Hermès, and hopefully all these watches will always show happy seconds, minutes and hours to those who wear the watch.
So guys, I hope you liked our journey through the manufacturing process of the dials and the cases here at La Montre Hermès. I hope also that you have already watched our videos concerning the manufacturing of the movements and the final assembly of the entire watch, the Carré H of Hermès. If you have questions, they're welcome. Please don't hesitate to write us. And if you like our videos, please don't forget to subscribe to our video channel and of course to like our videos.